Hey, Brandon. How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
And we're excited to have you on because, yes, we're going to talk Impact Wrestling on March 28th. But at the same time, you're all about helping out some of the high school wrestling teams in this area. You're donating tickets to them, and I think that's a really cool thing that you're doing.
Yes. Jonesboro High School and Valley View High School.
Yeah, okay.
I invited the teams to come, the wrestlers, to encourage them to keep chasing their dreams, to keep the Olympic wrestling hopes going for them. And, you can always go to the website, keepwrestlingintheolympics.com, and basically get on the email list if you want to give a donation. That'd be great. There are a lot of countries that are fighting to keep wrestling alive, and God willing, by September we'll have enough heat that we can go back to the IOC, and whether it be political or money monetarily, we will have enough either way to keep wrestling in the Olympics.
What were your thoughts when you saw that they were thinking about dumping it? I mean, obviously you made a career by being the Olympic gold medalist in 1996, a huge thing for you, one of the biggest accomplishments in your life, and then bam, all of a sudden this year we hear that they're just thinking, we might not do that anymore.
It was, for me, it wasn't just sad, it was embarrassing. I was like, are you kidding? You're going to drop wrestling over these other 15 sports that anybody can do? I knew there were politics involved. I heard a lot about the IOC president's son saving the pentathlon, which is obviously a dying sport. Mm-hmm. Begged his father to keep it in. So they threw badminton on the table, among other sports, wow. Which to me and a lot of other people is a recreation sport, but nonetheless it's a sport. And a country in Asia gave the IOC a bunch of money, and they kept it.
Oh.
So if that's what they want, I guess that's what wrestling's going to have to give them. The president of the FILA, which is the World Governing Body of Wrestling, 2 days after this happened, he stepped down. I don't believe he stepped down. I think he was either forced to retire or he was fired. They gave him a choice. You can quit or we're going to fire you. And it's because there was no representation at the IOC meeting.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like wrestling dropped the ball. And I don't blame anybody because I wouldn't think wrestling would be thrown on the table to be dropped either. I would have thought, many other sports would have been considered before wrestling, considering how competitive it is worldwide and, that it is the oldest sport in the world.
I know these kids at both those high schools, Jonesboro High School and Valley View, when they heard that you were willing to buy their tickets and bring them to this event, they were all excited. Of course, you're a hero to people who are wrestling fans of professional wrestling, a hero to amateur wrestlers, of course, because of the gold medal. And I think that's a great thing that you've done. And this is an interesting area for you because when you first got involved in professional wrestling and we were doing television and all that stuff, your first stop as far as a quote, territory was the old Memphis Channel 5 territory.
Yeah. They had a great program down there and, loyal fan following and, WWE sent me down there. I wasn't down there very long, but I was down there enough to, work out the kinks and, work on my wrestling skills. And what WWE did was they'd have me travel with them during the week. And then I go down to Memphis and do TV and a couple other house shows. And then I'd be back on the road with WWE for SmackDown and Raw. And I did that circuit for about 4 months before they started me on TV. It was, for me, it was fun because I was learning every day and I was new to it. And, I kept my eyes open and my ears open and I listened and I learned and I studied. I wasn't a guy that took the reins and tried to lead somebody. I was a guy that let the person I wrestled, lead me and so I could learn quicker. And it was hard to do that because, my whole life I've had it instilled in my head to create the action and go by my instincts. And all of a sudden here I am. I have to let this guy slam me around half the time and I'm not ignoring the crowd anymore. I have to include the crowd. And it was just a very confusing, transition for me. As a wrestler, an amateur wrestler, it might be the worst sport to be in before you you do pro wrestling, which is crazy. You think it would be easier, but it's actually harder.
So, like, where you came from, I mean, I remember when you first came into Memphis and all the different stuff that was going on at that point in time. We knew you were a great athlete, knew you were going to be a great guy in the ring, but now people say the greatest of all time, the greatest wrestler to ever step in a wrestling ring. What does that feel like for you, somebody who did so much on the amateur level, and now you're hearing those accolades? And really and truthfully, it's still relatively young in your career compared to a lot of guys.
Yeah, I don't think I've earned that quote. Even though I'll use it, or TNA has used it, WWE did when I was up there. Within my third year of wrestling, I was already being tagged as the best in the business, and then by my fifth year was, could he be the greatest all time? And that was just, I can't compare myself to Ric Flair or Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart or Triple H, guys that have given 20, 30, 35 years, when, here I was in my fifth year in the business, and people were already saying, could he be the greatest ever? Now I'm in my 13th year, and I still think it's relatively too early, but, people are going to think what they want to think, and they're going to say what they want to say, and everybody has their favorites, and I might be somebody's favorite. Shawn Michaels might be somebody else's favorite, and Triple H might be somebody else's favorite, but, to be considered with those guys makes me very proud.
Well, lots of people talk about your accomplishments, and they're real quick to say what they think how great they think you are. But what do you think your biggest accomplishment in your career, either in or out of the ring, has been so far?
My biggest, I would say, accomplishment hasn't been any of my 13 world titles or whatever. The titles aren't important to me. What I got an amazing reputation for is making my opponents look better. Mm-hmm. That's what I take pride in, having the best matches I can, and always making my opponent look better than they are. A lot of times the WWE would bring somebody new in, and they would just put them with me right away. Mm-hmm. And that was good and bad, because it was good because it was going to be a great match. But it could also be bad because where are they going to go after that? Is the person that they're going to wrestle, after me, are they going to make them look as good as I made them look? That's right. The hard part. So, there were a lot of guys I did that with. But, and then here in TNA, they did that a few times as well. But I take pride in that. I think that's a part of the business that a lot of people don't understand and they don't know about. But if you can make anyone look good, then you're that much better.
Tell me what it is about TNA, because I know every time your contract has come up, there's been negotiations and everybody is reaching out for Kurt Angle. What is it about TNA Impact Wrestling that makes you want to stay put?
The growth, knowing that that there's still work to be done. Thank God we're finally going on the road, going city to city now instead of in the same arena in Orlando. Mm-hmm. So to me, that shows another sign of growth. They treat me well. My schedule is limited. And I'm not going to lie to you, I get paid extremely well. So it's hard for me to walk away from those circumstances. I have a lot of say in what I do, and I'm very comfortable where I am right now. They're just getting ready to kind of put the rockets under me again, but they gave me a good, nice little rest where I was just kind of lingering in the mid card for the last 6 months, which is fine with me. I like going in circles. I like to, be in the main event, out of it, and kind of keep myself fresh. I think that's the most important thing about wrestling that you have to do. So, and also we've given younger guys more opportunities to make a name for themselves.
Overall, I've seen a lot or heard a lot of happy people that Impact Wrestling is coming to Jonesboro, but I think we'd also like to use the word proud. I think Jonesboro in Northeast Arkansas is really proud that y'all are coming here.
Oh, well, I'm happy to be going. I'm happy to be donating the tickets, and it should be a great show. And I can't wait to get there and show what TNA has to offer.
All right, thank you, Kurt.
Thanks, Brandon.